The King verdict and its aftermath have been a violent wake-up call for this country. For the most part, white and black America remains separate and unequal, and blacks feel a particular inequality under the law. As NBC's Mike Betcher reports tonight, it is not a new problem.
Cold steel on black flesh. Thousands of times each day, the volatile mixture enters a winding pipeline known as the American criminal justice system, or as cynical black leaders call it, the just us system. Just us whites protected, just us blacks arrested.
You're in my house now.
Early each morning, hundreds of Chicago families file through the courthouse metal detectors to visit relatives caught in the system. There are few white faces in the crowd. In line is Richard Harris. He says he's had a few run-ins here and there.
To me, a black man's chance in the judicial system, he has no chance, okay?
Rochelle McCormick, a youth counselor, is wary of the same system that she serves.
I myself would probably be a little afraid now to go into court system and think that I would get a fair trial.
In the course of 3 decades, distrust has often turned to rage. The Los Angeles Watts riot was triggered by the arrest of a black man. A devastating Detroit riot erupted after a police raid on a black after-hours club prompted claims of brutality. Unrest in Miami's Liberty City area began after 4 white police officers were found innocent of fatally beating a black businessman. 12 years later, remnants of the Liberty City rampage are still evident. But there has been redevelopment too. After Liberty City, well-meaning people of all colors worked hard to improve the area and the system. But today's apparent tranquility coexists with tension. Mark Bell rioted in 1980.
It's improving. You can see improvement for us, the building and stuff like that. But what about jobs? What about, addressing the people? Giving the people what they need to survive.
Chicago businessman Dempsey Travis survived and prospered in the system. He believes he is the exception, though, and white Americans, he says, don't understand why he's not the rule.
I was having dinner with a group of CEOs of some of the largest companies in the country, and I mentioned early in the evening, when I heard the verdict, I said, we're in trouble. Nobody at that table seemed to understand what I was saying. They looked at me as if I had smoked pot.
The trouble has always been there, right where underfunded inner-city schools come face-to-face with decaying and crime-plagued neighborhoods.
I think that there are children of a lesser God and that people don't necessarily see the plight of my children as being primary.
In America today, statistics show that a black man is more likely to be entangled in the criminal justice system than enrolled in college. Better educational and job opportunities could change the environment, but there will not be better opportunities without a better environment. It is a savage circle in which much of black America is caught. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Chicago.
Welcome back to Nightside. I'm Tom Donovan along with Kim Hindrew. Opening statements are set for later today in the trial of 4 L.A. police officers accused of violating Rodney King's civil rights. 3 alternate jurors were selected Wednesday despite defense requests for a mistrial. The motion was centered around possible bias of a black juror. Steve Handelsman reports on the mistrial motion and the impact the jury's final verdict could have on Los Angeles.
Selection of alternate jurors went ahead after Judge John Davies refused a request by one of the accused officers for a new lawyer and refused a motion for mistrial centered on the only black woman who's already been sworn as a member of the jury. Lawyers for the accused cops say she's privately indicated bias against them.
I may have nothing to worry about. I may not. But since I don't know, my duty requires me to be thorough on behalf of Stacey Kuhn and investigate this issue.
I believe in the jury system. I believed in it last time. I believe it in this time. These issues that arise about this other juror, whatever the number is, the female and the male that brought the issue to our attention, we don't know if it is a real problem.
Meanwhile, hovering in the background here are memories of the deadly riots that followed not guilty verdicts by a jury in the state case last year. In South Central L.A., leaders like Reverend Cecil Murray are working with youngsters and worried about the federal case.
What's the possibility of another riot if all of these cops are not convicted?
The answer depends on the jury. If there is fairness, it is well. If there is perceived unfairness, the flashpoint is almost predictable.
Shot you in your arm.
Former gang member Tony Bogard knows the potential for violence here. He's been shot 8 times. Now he's joining with other former gang leaders and urging calm.
It's a universal thing. It's not just a black thing. It's a universal thing because we want peace all the way around the board.
All we're saying is keep the peace in the streets, and whatever happened with the verdict is going to happen.
Back here at federal court, Judge Davies could call in the black woman juror and ask her if she's biased against the accused cops, but he might not. Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Los Angeles.